we are taking a look back in time at an older set to help us prepare for the future, because you know what they say, history repeats itself. Hey, Nick from 9Card TCG, and today I'm playing in what is legitimately my first ever retro format game. I'm playing what is Sun and Moon to break through the Crimson Invasion, I think is the exact format I'm playing, and I'm going to be joined by none other than Pokemon Trading Card Game Twitter's biggest troll, Jake Gearhart, who is a very good player, very fond of old formats like Sunlaw and that kind of stuff, and also is the creator of the PokeGear app, which is a site that I use on the channel all the time. So I have a link to his Twitter and PokeGear in the video description. But before we get into the actual video and checking in with Jake, if you haven't already, do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Tells YouTube this is a good channel. Other people should watch it. If you want to see more expanded or retro format stuff on the channel, let me know. By commenting and liking the video, it lets me know that this is something you are interested in and want to see. So if you want more, I'm happy to do it. And it's a full 60 card proxy deck. It's very, very funny to me. But yeah, why don't we go ahead and check in with Jake, see how he's doing. Jake, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And this is a very interesting one. I said at the very beginning of this video that I have never played in a retro format game. So, but that's something that you're pretty familiar with, and we'll get into that soon. But first, I wanted to ask you about PokeGear, how you kind of came up with it, and what maybe if you have something in the works for the future for the app. So, how did you get into it? What inspired you to create this?
Yeah, so PokeGear really came about because of my getting into retro formats over the pandemic. Three-time world champion Jason Klasinski was hosting these retro tournaments online all the time, and there was really no good site to build decks for old formats. So I took it upon myself to basically make a new deck builder website, and PokeGear has sort of turned into something way bigger than I initially envisioned. And yeah, for right now, I'm working on a second version of it that'll work on mobile and has a ton more features and just looks a lot better. So hopefully that'll be out by the time Scarlet and Violet releases, and then we'll be able to use that.
Yeah, I use PokeGear a lot, and I featured it in a bunch of videos. It's a great site to just build decks, and then when you save the image, it looks really clean. And sometimes you save decks from other sites, and it's a lot to look at. So I really do appreciate how aesthetically pleasing when you save an image from PokeGear that looks. And I'm excited to see it have mobile functionality. That's going to be really, really exciting, because everybody's on the move and everybody's on their phones with social media. So being able to just pop something into PokeGear or import or export something would be pretty cool to be able to do from anywhere. So I'm excited for that. Now,
Yeah, I'm excited as well.
yeah, over quarantine, you got really into retro formats. Was there anything in particular about retro that made you want to get into this, or was it just you weren't happy with the formats that we had during that time, and you look back at other ones that you might have enjoyed a little bit more? What forced you into retro formats?
Yeah, so I've been playing since the 2013-14 season. So I've been playing for a good chunk of Pokemon's history, but obviously not all of it. And one of my favorite parts of the game is deck building. And one of the reasons why I like playing retro formats so often is because it gives you a real challenge for the deck building side of your brain, because you have to get adapted to older formats and older strategies. The pace of the game is completely different from format to format, and also obviously over the pandemic, the team up on format was not the best. I would say I say it's the worst format of all time. So, and I've played quite a few. But yeah, so we can only go up from here into the Scarlet and Violet era. And I think the best way to sort of get adjusted to how the EXs are going to start playing is looking back at some formats where we've had some similar things, whether it's the similar trainer engines, similar Pokemon lineups. And I thought like there's no better format to look at than the 2018 OCIC format, which was breakthrough on at that time. And we've got a couple decks that will really showcase some of the things that we'll end up seeing in the Scarlet and Violet era, which is the combination of basic stage 1 and stage 2 Pokemon, all different styles of attackers, and a deck that intends to really pressure evolving basics before they can evolve, and then a deck which intends to sort of get behind on prize cards and then make a big comeback at the end with some powerful attackers. So that's really the game we're going to showcase today. And there's a lot of similarities with this format to our upcoming Scarlet and Violet format. So hopefully the deck building in this era and the games in this era can inform our decisions when we're building decks in the future. So like one of the common things about this format and Scarlet and Violet is we've both got the Professor's Research card, which is Professor Sycamore here, and then Ultra Ball as well. And then we'll see there's an Octillery in Nick's deck, which is the same as Bibarel. There's Tapu Lele GX, which is like Luminion. So there's a lot of similarities, and you'll end up seeing those once we get into the games.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. And just looking at some of the cards, you look at something like a Buzzwole GX, and it almost reminds you of something like Great Tusk EX. And then you look at something like the Lycanroc GX, it's basically Umbreon VMAX. And those are all cards that are going to be in standard. We don't have some of the really cool cards, like we don't have like the free retreat from Floatstone, and we don't have Max Elixir to really power up at least in my deck, Pokemon very easily, so we can get attacking quickly and then use these big hard hitting attacks. We would have Koraidon EX as the replacement for something like a Max Elixir, but it's not as good. It's nowhere near as good because you can Max Elixir up to 4 times in a single turn if you really wanted to, and you can only use one Koraidon and then end your turn, so you can't even get energies from the discard onto your Pokemon and then attack if you wanted to. So it is a little challenging. So there's definitely some differences, right? The amount of health that Pokemon have is a little bit different. Although you can make the argument that attack damage goes up with it, but not always, right? Great Tusk does 40 instead of 30 that Buzzwole did for the same 1 fighting energy, even though HP is now 320, 340 in some cases. So definitely does, have some similarities, but it's not identical, though we could still, as you said, learn from the past and see how it will shape our future, and how differently do we have to think about future formats compared to old. And this is the first time I am really ever playing a retro format, so almost every card in this deck is a proxy, and I think the only ones that aren't are like the basic fighting energies. I'm using Ultra Ball, and then instead of Professor Sycamore, I'm using Professor's Research, but it's the exact same effect, so I don't really care. Come at me in the comments if you want. But why don't we just kind of get into this battle, right? I kind of feel like the battle is going to take a little bit, some time to complete because of my inexperience and lack of familiarity with the cards. So what do you say we just get into this battle? Do you want odd or even?
I'll go even.
Even, all right. Oh, I dropped that. There we go. All right. That's a 4, so would you like to go first or second?
I will be going first.
All right.
And an important thing to remember about this format is that this was before the Sword and Shield rule change, where that made it so you can't play a supporter on the first turn if you go first. So I will be allowed to play a supporter on my first turn, which is going to be very important towards setting up my evolutions, because these decks are based around a card called Bridget, which allows you to search your deck for 3 Pokemon, 3 basic Pokemon, and put them on your bench that aren't EXs. Similar to the card Gloria, I think, that we have right now. But I'm all set up.
Yeah.
I'm ready to start. Right, I'm starting with my results and draw a card.
I
will bench my Tapu Lele GX and use its Wonder Tag ability, which is the same as a Luminion V's ability, which lets me search my deck for a supporter card and put it into my hand.
Which is going to get that Bridget you just mentioned, I'm sure.
Yep, exactly.
And I'm sure it's going to be used to find a couple of Zoroarks because, well, you're playing a Zorua, and that's because you're playing a Zoroark deck.
Exactly. So I'm going to grab that Bridget right here, find a couple Zoruas, and then see. I'm going to take a third. I'll take a second roll. Well, put those onto the bench. And then I will put a float stone on my Ralts, which gives it free retreat, and then retreat into my Tapu Lele GX and pass the turn over to you.
All right, I will draw. So we're going to be able to do a couple of things here. I got my own float stone, and I'm going to drop a Brooklet Hill. And I'm going to use Brooklet Hill to go ahead and get me a basic fighting type. So it gets me get a basic fighting or water type and put it directly onto the bench.
Exactly the same as Stormy Mountain, which we'll surely see in the Lightning decks in the Scarlet and Violet era.
So we'll get the Buzzwole, even though I don't know if it's the best choice. Eventually I got to be able to get some Rockruffs going, so I can start to set up the Lichen Rocks. But basically, I just want to attack with my Buzzwole and start putting some early pressure. Obviously, you're not going to give me the Zorua because they are fighting weak, and I would just knock it out instantly. How much health does Zorua have?
It's only 60 HP, so
yeah,
they're already one-shotting it with no modifiers.
Yep. And how many cards do you have in hand after all that? I'm going to guess like 3.
I have 5.
5. Oh, you have a little
bit. I only played it.
Oh, you only played the right
cards, the Layla and the Floatstone. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. The rest you just got from the deck. That's the thing. Like that turn 1 supporter really threw me off. Because I don't want to discard my hand. So instead of playing Professor's Research, I'm going to play N. And we both just shuffle our hands into our deck. And then draw.
N's a very, very important card throughout the history of the game. You'll hear a lot of old players reminisce about the times of N and Rocket's Admin, its predecessor, with the same effect. It lets both players shuffle their hands into their deck and draw a number of cards equal to their remaining prize cards. So in the early game, it acts as great consistency for both players. Make sure that both players set up, giving you refreshing both hands. And then in the late game, it's a very powerful comeback effect. And we'll see Nick has the Remoraid, which is going to evolve into Octillery, which is going to serve as his protection from, and just like Bibarel is used as protection from Roxanne in the current standard format.
All right, and we both have 6 prizes remaining, so we'll both draw 6. See if I can find. Well, we're just going to go ahead, drop another Buzzwole. I'm going to drop a Regirock. And I do think I'm actually going to retreat into a Buzzwole here. Because I want to keep my Remoraid going. And unfortunately, I whiffed energy, so I just kind of have to pass it off to you.
All right.
No max elixirs, no energies. Rough go.
Yeah, rough start for sure. And I've got, you end me into a pretty perfect hand here.
Now, as is my luck, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to start out, evolve into my Zoroark GX. So that now gives up 2 prize cards when it's knocked out. That's got 210 HP. And then I will use its trade ability to discard a card from my hand and then draw 2 cards. I'll discard this Field Blower to draw 2. And then I've got myself a Rare Candy and a Gardevoir GX.
Oh
So
my
I'm going to Rare
God.
Candy this roll into a Gardevoir GX.
Of
And
course.
then I'll go ahead and I think I'm gonna play my second Field Blower and just discard that Brooklet Hill that you have out there. So it discards up to 2 stadiums and tools in play. And then I will just put an energy on my Tapu Lele GX and use its energy drive attack, which does 20 times the number of energy attached to both active Pokemon. So only 40 damage, but sets up the numbers for later.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I will draw. We're going to go ahead, play the Octillery, which is pretty nice that we have. I can go ahead, get a second Brooklet Hill down, and I'll use it to thin out the deck before I go ahead and do some other stuff to get a Rockruff. This way I can start setting up the Lycanroc. And unfortunately for me, I do have to play down this other Tapu Lele to search my deck for a supporter. This time it is going to be research, because I don't really care about what's in my hand at this point. I just need to see as many cards as I can so I can not miss the attack. I mean, I guess I could Octillery too. So, do I go with like a Guzma and try to like boss up the Zoroark and then try to hit into it, just start to put some pressure? You have no energies on it. Hit into it, do decent amount of damage. I'll do 80, assuming I don't find like a choice band or something. Or
How many cards would you be drawing off the Octillery? It kind of depends on that.
not enough, just 3. I mean, yeah, just the 3. So
Yeah, so I think it's probably
safer.
a bit of a risky play to go for that. So I think research might be the safer play.
It's not the play I want to make. I want to be risky,
Yep. Yeah.
but I have to learn patience in these slightly slower formats. I'm used to things like Palkia V-Star coming out and attacking, knocking out your V-Star turn 2, and it's like, all right, well, that's not fun anymore.
Yep. Yeah, with this deck, you always want to be putting as many energy in play as possible with those max elixirs. So finding them early game to set up your Rockruffs and set up your Buzzwoles are going to be important. And an interesting thing to note about max elixir is that it only works on basic Pokemon. So you can attach max elixir to Rockruff before it evolves, but you wouldn't be able to attach to it after it evolves
Right,
to set
interesting.
up for its dangerous Rogue GX attack.
Okay, and then I'll research a rescue cat, a stretcher, and a second Remoraid.
Yep.
And we'll get some 7 cards. Alright, so we found a few things. We did find a fighting energy, which I gotta start putting some pressure on. We do find a max elixir. So get the top 6 and attach 1 basic energy. So 3,
Yep.
6.
Similar to the electricity generator that lightning types get in the Scarlet and Violet era, but this one goes to 6 cards and you can only choose up to 1 energy total.
So we'll do that. We'll put it on the other benched Buzzwole. So I attach return, use my maxed elixir, use my Octillery, use Brooklet Hill. So I'm pretty much just ready to attack here. What I will do before anything else is I'll get this choice band onto the benched Buzzwole. And
This actually might be an interesting point where the choice belt, you might actually want to put it on the rock ruff because these choice belts are going to be like a hot commodity basically later in the game.
okay,
And you have to, so Lycanroc's Dangerous Rogue GX does 50 times the number of my benched Pokemon. And Gardevoir GX has 230 HP.
I see.
So if I have 4 benched Pokemon and you have the choice belt on the rock ruff, then you're going to be one-shotting the Gardevoir.
Interesting.
Which is something you're probably going to want to play for. So yeah, it could go either way, but I think the choice belt on the rock ruff is gonna, or choice band, keep saying belt, is gonna be more helpful. But yeah.
Okay, and I guess with that thank you for that tip. We'll just Jet Punch for 40. And
you got the choice band on the active, right? I think.
No, I put it on the rock.
Oh, you just put it on the rock ruff. Oh, I thought you had 2 of them. Okay, so you can put it on the active as well if you want to hit the Lele. But yeah.
And I do 30 to actually, because I do 30 to one of your benched.
Yes.
So that I could put it onto the Gardevoir to start setting up a KO on the Gardevoir.
Yeah, you can set up the 30 damage on the Gardevoir if you want. Or you can pressure my Ralts into evolving or the Zorua into evolving. Yeah, it's a really tough call for sure.
Yeah, especially since... No, I have...
choice bands, yeah.
I wish. Then I will keep it on the original Buzzwole, on the benched one.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine.
And I'll put the 30 onto the Gardevoir.
So here's an interesting choice as well. Even though you want this Gardevoir to be set up, in order for me to evolve this Ralts, I'm going to have to find a rare candy and a Gardevoir.
Oh, I actually don't know that.
30 damage on it this turn. Okay, yeah. So I don't play any Curlies in my deck.
Okay, there we go.
So yeah, in order to set up, like you can put on a lot of pressure by hitting this Ralts for 30 damage, and then you could clean it up next turn with a
I didn't know you
Jet Punch.
I didn't know you didn't run Curlier. So yeah, well then we'll put it on the Ralts then. And how much health does the Ralts have?
Only 60. All these basics have 60.
Okay.
So yeah, lines up perfectly for another Jet Punch next turn. All right, yeah, I'll draw. And then I think I'm just going to put an energy on my Zoroark GX. And then I will put another Ralts onto the bench. And then I will play a Professor Sycamore to discard my hand and draw 7 cards.
Gotta find the rare candy Gardevoir.
Yeah. I got a 7. Yeah, so I did draw into the next rare candy Gardevoir. So
no, it makes perfect sense.
I'm getting pretty lucky this game.
But it's okay because then this Jet Punch just goes on to the other Gardevoir, or I could put it onto the second Ralts and kind of force you to do it again.
Yeah. This one's set up now so that you can Dangerous Rogue that one. So yeah, I'll evolve into my second Zoroark GX. And then I'll use my first trade to discard this Giratina. This was a tech for the Greninja Break matchup, which Greninja would ability lock Zoroark, and so it can give it a bit of problems, and then has an ability which can snipe bench Pokemon, and Greninja or Giratina prevents that. So then, let's see. I'll go with my... That's a tough call as well. I think I would go for another trade and discard this Mallow. I've got a proxy for a couple cards, just the Mallow, which would let me search my deck for 2 cards, put them on top of my deck, and then I could draw them with the Zoroark, but that's a supporter card, and I've already used one. So there are 40 damage on that Buzzwole GX, correct?
Yes.
All right, so I've got this knockout pretty much lined up. So I'm going to use my rare candy to evolve that damaged Ralts, get it out of harm's way, retreat my Tapu Lele GX into Zoroark GX, put a choice band on there, And then I will use my Ride Speeding attack, which does 20 damage times the number of my Pokemon in play. So 120 plus the 30 from the Choice Band will get me up to 150 damage, plus the 40 damage I set up with the Tapu Lele last turn is going to allow me to get the knockout exactly.
Wow. That
So
that Sycamore was pretty kind to you.
yes, exactly what I needed actually.
All right. Well, we'll send up the Octillery with the Float Stone because why not? Free retreat.
Yep.
I will draw for turn. And here I don't really have a bunch of great options. Because my hand is just a Regirock, a Lycanroc, and then some energies.
Wow, yeah, that's definitely a rough hand. So you're probably going to want to try and play that down so you can get to the point where you can artillery.
So I'm going to start to attach onto this Rockruff.
Yeah. And then you could use that Bloodthirsty Eyes if you want, or you could just play it like just to evolve. Kind of depends on, I think there's probably no better attacker that you want to hit than my active. So
yeah,
you probably don't even want to use the ability.
And I'm not going to. And then I'll Artillery for 3. And it's more energies, but we get a Research and we get an Ultra Ball. And there's really nothing I want to Nothing I really want to Ultra Ball for, unless I just want to try to thin the deck out a little bit. Which, be losing a fair amount of energies.
And so one of the things in this matchup that, since you're behind already, is you're going to want to be playing towards trying to catch me off guard with an N. So I've got 2 Zoroark GXs in play, which can help me draw out of an N. But if you knock out one of them with maybe a Knuckle Impact from the Buzzwole GX, if you hit some Max Elixirs, or just next turn, whenever you end up knocking it out, you want to play an N so that you can disrupt my hand as much as possible so I can't build up a big Gardevoir GX. So you might consider playing that Sycamore or the Research, even though you don't need anything this turn, just so you can get an N for next turn.
All right, let's try it. Let's go for it. I don't have any better ideas. We have the N for next turn. We have the Max Elixir. So I'm wondering if I just play the Max Elixir now to really try to start powering up like this Lycanroc or something. Because
so the Lycanroc GX can't take the energy from Max Elixir because it's no longer a basic Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can still put it onto that Buzzwole and get ready to attack next turn.
Yeah. And one thing you should be aware of as well is that my Gardevoir GX has its Infinite Force attack, does 30 damage times the number of energy attached to both active Pokemon.
Okay.
So you always want to be mindful not to put too many energy on, but yeah.
All right, then we'll hold the Max Elixir until next turn. I'll retreat with the Float Stone to go into the Buzzwole, and I will hit for 120 with Jet Impact or Jet Punch because of weakness and Choice Band.
And you got the 2 Regirocks as well, so it's going to be even more than that.
Right,
160 for 1 energy.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
And then 30 to 1 of my benched Pokemon. Which one would you like? So one thing to note, I only have 2 Gardevoir GX in my deck. So I couldn't evolve this third Ralts if I wanted to. But at the same time, you're on 6 prizes right now. You're on an even number of prizes.
Right.
So this Ralts, even though you'll be able to get it to knock it out, you might not want to take that prize because it'll just give you less cards off an N in the later game.
I was thinking of putting it on your other Zoroark just to soften it up because you're going to have to attack with it, and something like a Claw Slash will be able to knock it out after.
Yep. Yeah, so Zoroark only has 210 HP, so it actually gets one shot by the Claw Slash anyway because it's weak to Dark. But yeah, putting on the Zoroark is fine as well. Yeah, I think that's a perfectly good one to hit.
All right.
That's good with you?
Yeah, why not?
So yeah, then I will draw for turn.
'Cause that's kind of
I'll
my
start off.
plan is to try to knock out the two Zoroarks and then boss up Gardevoir and use Dangerous Rogue.
Yep, yeah, that's a very solid strategy. So I'll start off with my trades, which we'll surely see in Scarlet and Violet with the refinement on the Kirlia. I'll discard a Bridget to draw two. And then I'll use trade on my second Zoroark to discard the Ralts, draw two.
Was this Zoroark Gardevoir your deck of choice in this format?
No, I was actually playing the Greninja deck. I was a stickler for the Greninja deck, but I probably would have liked this deck more if I had actually put more time into it. But I was sort of taking more casual for those couple years while this was the standard format, just because of school and stuff like that. But now I'm sort of back into the full swing of competitive. So let's see. I'm going to start off using a Secret Spring ability for my Gardevoir GX, which allows me to, once during my turn, attach a fairy energy from hand to one of my Pokemon, and it doesn't count as the attachment for turn. So I can get a fairy energy on there. And then, let's see. I think I'm going to go for... Yeah, I'll attach double colorless to the Gardevoir as well. And then I'm going to use my Guzma to bring up that Lycanroc GX.
And this is where you KO it with the Gardevoir?
Fortunately, I don't have the KO, but I'm going to put on my Gardevoir with the Floatstone, retreat into Zoroark. And then I'm just going to swing into it for 150 with the Zoroark GX. I just want to set up this Lycanroc so that I can knock it out more easily later in the game.
Right.
While I build up my Gardevoir on the bench.
Okay. Well, I will draw for turn. That was a really good top deck. It was a Floatstone.
Nice. Nice.
I'm going to max Elixir. So look at the top six. That's 5 and 6. Find a Fighting Energy, which we do get. We'll attach to this Buzzwole. We'll shuffle that up. Let me tell you, I am knocking out this Zoroark.
Yeah, it's pretty weak already. If you can find a Guzma in your hand or off an Octillery, you might even be able to get like a... Well, Zoroark's at 160, so you actually wouldn't be able to get the Snipe KO. Never mind on that, but close. Not there, though. Because otherwise you could try and get like set up a double knockout with Jet Punch, but yeah, it seems like that'd be a bit too slow.
And from here, so how much damage does this Zoroark have on it?
Zoroark has 160, and it's got 210 HP.
Okay, so Jet Punch will KO it.
Yes.
So I'm going to attach a Fighting Energy for turn to the Lycanroc, and then we'll retreat to this Buzzwole. I'm not able to Guzma. And you have 150. And how many cards do you have in hand?
I've got quite a few. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, so I think N is probably the best bet here.
Yep. Yeah, and N will certainly disrupt me.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be taking out one of my draw abilities and setting me down to 4 cards. So
that's the plan.
Luckily, I've got my Gardevoir GX mostly ready to go. But still not quite there with the knockout on the Buzzwole.
I don't think there's really anything else I have to do. I'll just have to see after I draw these 6. Because I have not taken any prizes yet.
Yeah. This is not a great game for Buzzwole. It really wants to be getting ahead early in the game before this stage.
But I will go ahead and take my 2 prizes here. And use Jet Punch.
And where do you want the 30 damage?
One of those Gardevoirs doesn't have any damage on it. So
Yeah, my one with energy, so they're definitely the right choice. Gotta set up for that dangerous rogue.
right. And now you're up.
Yep, I'll promote my Gardevoir GX with the Floatstone and draw a card. And so you've got 2 energies on there. So
Yes, both the Buzzwole and the Lycanroc have 2 energies.
yeah, so I'm going to. Okay, I'm gonna bench my Mew EX. So this is very weak EX. Only got 120 HP when most of them had 180. But it's a Psychic type, and it can copy any of my attacks that I have in play. So I'm going to use my Secret Spring ability to attach a energy to this Mew EX. And then I'm going to play an N, my own, to put you down to 4 cards.
Oh, okay. Well, that was probably for the best because I had 2 Guzmas in hand. Let's see if I can draw something decent off of these 4.
You've got the Octillery for a bit of protection, luckily.
Assuming I can ditch the 4 that I draw to get better ones.
Yep.
But I think we're in a decent spot.
Right, so I'm going to use my trade ability to discard a Zoroark GX and draw 2. And then I'm going to play my Parallel City. So this was a cool mechanic. It's a double-sided stadium card. So on one side, so basically you choose the way you play it before it goes down into play, and one person gets one side of the effect and the other person gets the other side.
Oh.
So one side says that that the attacks of grass, fire, and water Pokemon do 20 less damage. So if I put it this way and I had a grass deck, I'd be doing 20 less damage. And the other side says you can only have up to 3 bench Pokemon total, and you have to discard Pokemon until you have 3. So I'm going to play it down this way. That means that you have to discard your bench until you have 3 Pokemon.
It's not great, but I think I have to pick a Regirock.
Yeah. And then
And my Brooklyn Hill goes.
Yeah, exactly. Then I'm going to use my other Secret Spring ability to attach another Fairy Energy to this Mew EX on the bench. And then I will retreat my Gardevoir GX into Mew EX. And then I will use its versatile ability to copy the Infinite Force attack on my Gardevoir GX, which will do 30 times the number of energy attached to both active Pokemon. But I'm a Psychic type, so I'm hitting you for weakness. So I'm going to use Infinite Force for 240 damage for the knockout.
Cool. Well, we'll send up this Octillery.
Yep. So this is really the turn that you'd want that Sudowoodo card. It'd be perfect for this situation. It lets you copy the same attack your opponent just used. So if you can find Sudowoodo, get a max elixir and an energy on it, and then attach, then you'd be in a much better position. But at the same time, it's also going to be pretty hard to come back from this spot. So let's see if you can do it.
Well, there's the Sudowoodo with the Ultra Ball. And I have 2 cards in hand. One of them is a research, which means I have to artillery first.
Yep.
I don't even know if I have the energies in deck to make a Macro. Because I had to discard like
Max
3 of them.
something. Yep.
And this deck doesn't have any energy recovery. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I think you should have a couple strong energies left, but those aren't basic energies.
Right. So we'll artillery for 3. Don't hit anything. I mean, I can attach like the choice band, I guess. Just to make sure I'm getting the KO, even though I probably would. And then I have to research 2 Guzmas and another research.
Wow.
Yes, this is not going very well for me. So we find the strong energy.
You have the max elixir as well, though. That's going to be the key.
I'm going to... Oh, I can't drop... I can't put down another basic. Because I can only have 3 because of your stadium.
Yeah, only 3 total.
Alright, well, before I commit anything to attaching, I'll max elixir first. Take a look at the top 6.
You're close.
Oh my god. We found
You hit it?
We found it.
Okay.
We found it.
You're making the comeback.
We're making it happen. We're making it happen. And now I'll attach the strong energy from hand. We'll shuffle this with the tiny little bit of deck I have left.
Yep.
I mean, really, all you need is a Guzma, and then you still win.
Yeah. I would win the game with the Guzma, but yeah, you're making it close for as bad of a start as you got. This Sudowoodo play is pretty good.
We can retreat, send up the Sudowoodo, which now does an extra 20, and this is 30, right? So it's doing 50,
and the Regirock EX
extra
so
60 damage for nothing, just because you're an EX.
You're already doing 120, so you're already knocking me out. You knock me out and a half.
So I'll watch and learn, and use the attack you used last time.
Yep, infinite force for the knockout. So I'll promote my Gardevoir GX. I'll draw a card, and then let's see. Discard. Oh, yep. I've got a couple band cards from Expanded. These Puzzle of Time, which you can play in a pair. And if you play one, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and rearrange them. But if you play 2, you get any 2 cards from your discard pile and put them into your hand.
Oh, and then you
so
just
I'm going to take my Guzma,
any card, trade it. Yeah.
And then I'm going to Guzma up that Lycanroc GX.
Right.
And then I will use the Infinite Force attack for the knockout.
Oh, man.
So you could see if you had gotten a couple early prize cards, you would have been able to take that game for sure.
Right. And I had the Guzma and the strong energy to attach to the Lycanroc and bring up something and just KO it. So if you did not win this next turn, I would have.
Yeah. Yeah, so these games with evolution Pokemon and everything, it just makes things like way more interesting.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You've got to set up your attackers like multiple turns ahead. You don't want to evolve too many basics because then that's more Guzma targets. But if you evolve none of them, then they're weak. So yeah, it's very, very much more complex than we're used to right now.
Yeah. Well, this makes me really excited for maybe not Scarlet and Violet base, but like Scarlet and Violet 2-3, where we start getting some more of these EXs and some cards that have some synergy together. We get maybe some better EXs. This is, mark my words, by the way, I know it's the end of the video. I bet money that we get a tool card called Terror Orb that's going to allow us to change types, whether it's like a limited thing, we can only change certain types, attach this Terror Orb, and you become Fire, Dragon, Electric, something similar to like Crystal Bodies or whatever. And there's like multiple Terror Orbs or something, right? I would not be... That's my prediction. We get a tool card called Terror Orb that allows us to change type in some capacity. It becomes the type of the energy you attach the last. You know, attach the energy and change the type to that energy type. Something.
Yeah, I'd really like a mechanic like that. I was hoping that they'd give us another GX or V Star marker or whatever that like once per game you could change the type of something, but
I don't think they'll give us 2 once per games.
But yeah, well, we had GXs and V Stars and expanded, but I guess not in standards. So yeah, that's true.
But who knows?
But
Either way, Jake, thank you so much for taking the time to teach me a little bit about this retro old format. Show me a deck that everybody says that I would have loved it. Like, anyone who knows me is like, oh, you would have been a Buzz Rock player. Like that's just who you are. And let me tell you, I think they're right.
Yeah, it's a fun deck. This format, like the variety of strategies that you can have in these evolution based formats. You've got players who like are great at setting up like comebacks later in the game. That's a perfectly valid strategy. And you've got the early aggression, try and take out basics. And you saw if he got a better start in that game, he would have been able to knock out a couple Zorwas maybe and a Ralts. Those last 2 prize cards would have been taken already. And then, yeah, the Dangerous Rogue would have cleaned it up. So, yeah, it's a very interesting, it's a much more interesting way to play the game, I think.
Right, because if I had knocked out a Zorua and, you know, knocked out a Ralts to get 2 prizes, then I wouldn't have even had need to use the Pseudo Widow. I could have just attached an energy Dangerous Rogue for game.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wouldn't have to bother, like, am I going to hit the max elixir? Like, I happened to, it just, you know, wasn't enough. But still, a lot of fun. So there you have it. I hope you see how an old format might be able to help us prepare for the future. But that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, found it informative. If you did, again, like, subscribe, comment. It really helps out a ton. Thank you again to Jake Gearhart for taking the time to not only hang out and play some Pokemon, but explain to me how to work this deck and some of the similarities and things that we might see from this old format to what we can expect in Scarlet and Violet. So thank you very much. Please go check out Jake and Pokegear, both of those links in the video description. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.